Welcome, my name is Tolly Bryn. This is The Joy of Awareness. I wanted to make a video about depression and what causes depression, because there's this weird idea which is everywhere, that depression is somehow just a genetic disorder, that it's something that's hereditary, that you can't affect, and that the only way to get around depression is to take SSRIs or depression medication. And this is just incredibly scary to me, especially because I've dealt with depression my whole adult life. I know it's not fun, I really do, but I've also figured out that I have complete power to affect my depression and my mood. And I've also found that depression seems to stem in large part from inflammation in the body. And this is an incredibly powerful discovery, because it means that by healing the body, as I've been speaking about in the last 10 videos, fasting is an incredible way for healing the body. It removes inflammation, it heals whatever is underneath the inflammation, and it just generally is the greatest tool that you have to thrive and to just become as healthy as you possibly can. And it really amazes me just how the modern medical system kind of just ignores these facts and just throws pills and drugs at people instead of actually trying to heal. And that seems to be the modus operandi of doctors everywhere. Seems to be, it's not like, how can we prevent this illness, or how can we cure this person. It's more like, what pills can I sell to this person again and again and again without actually healing them. They'll get like all kinds of side effects, and often long-term horrific side effects, and it's just disgusting to me. Like, how does this keep going on? But anyway, I just wanted to talk about depression specifically in the sort of area of physical health, because that's what I've been focusing most on in these videos. And I just found that it's so interconnected, like the gut biome and the state of your immune system and your digestive system, and all of this just really, really affects your mood. And obviously there are other reasons as well, like environment and thoughts that you think, and just your sort of mental state in general. But I think as soon as you fix your physical health to the point where it's no longer in the mode of just barely surviving, like most people, I think, in modern Western society find themselves in this state of just barely getting by, like when I was going through topical steroid withdrawal, or well, I should say before that, when I was dealing with very bad eczema, the drugs did hide the symptoms, and they did allow me to live a relatively normal life, though quite far down low quite far below the level of thriving that I really wanted, but I was still able to get by. But I think that state, the state that so many of us find ourselves in, is just incredibly conducive to depression and anxiety and all kinds of other mental health issues that come up. So I'm now preparing a series of videos on depression, and I'm going to take specific areas that affect depression, things like eating sugar, drinking too much coffee, overstimulation through Netflix and video games and porn, these kinds of things. Physical health, obviously, as well. But there are just so many different areas, and I've really been studying this for quite a while now, and I feel like I've gotten a kind of comprehensive model of how people get depressed and how people get better. And I think that's very important to remember, is that no matter how depressed you are right now, and especially if it's that kind of black horrible, this low mood that you really don't have reason. You don't really have any reason for it, like feeling that way. Like you may have a great family and a beautiful house and everything that you should really need to be happy, but you're still depressed. And like especially that kind of depression, I believe, can very often stem from some kind of imbalance in the body. And as soon as you heal that imbalance, you'll probably start feeling a lot better. The thing is also that a diseased body will have a much harder time, like, being motivated to go and exercise, for instance, or go out in nature. And those are things that really affect depression as well. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. So now that we're out of the wind, I wanted to go a little bit into my own history with depression and why I'm making this series of videos in the first place. It all goes back, as usual, to the period of my, the period where I was really ill, before I healed myself through fasting and through a simple diet in the summer of 2019. I've always had like a proclivity for depression, and I never really understood exactly why. Now, however, I think I've gotten a handle on it, and I understand it so much better now. And thankfully, I'm very thankful that I was never prescribed any kind of SSRIs or anything like that. At one point, I took an anxiety medication, but that was due to the topical steroid withdrawal that I was going through. So I was given a drug which was both an anti-anxiety medication and also antihistamine. And one of the main side effects from taking that medication was terrible nightmares. And this is actually what they said in like the little pamphlet that you get with all the drugs. Like it said, one of the most common side effects are terrible nightmares. And this is for anxiety medication. And no joke, I had like the most horrific nightmares that I've ever had. I remember the clearest nightmare that I had was me looking in the mirror and like part of my face falling off and just like maggots and pus kind of falling out with it. And I remember like waking up from that dream and I was like, I am never taking that drug again. So I threw it in the trash the very next day. But apart from that, like I would never say that I had like full-blown depression my entire life, but I feel like ever since adolescence, I've been more or less in a semi-depressed state. Like I'd have like really nice highs, but most of the time my baseline was under neutral, if that makes sense. Like I was always a little bit depressed, and in some periods I would have like major depressions as well. So it was kind of an up and down thing. But then after 2014, when I was when I quit topical steroid medications cold turkey and went into topical steroid withdrawal, my depression obviously became much worse, and my anxiety as well. And when I started fasting in the summer of 2019, and I healed my body, I was just so amazed at how much my mind healed as well, and I just started feeling so much better. And obviously part of that was just not having to deal with the illness anymore, but I do believe that a huge part of that is also just generally that the inflammation and hormonal imbalances in my body were fixed. And I now work from the premise that a very large chunk of, the modern epidemic of depression is actually caused by these factors and not by imbalances in the brain chemistry, even though that is something that, comes out of this, that is caused by this imbalance and inflammation in the body. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't chemical imbalances, but I am saying that these chemical imbalances are not genetic, and they're not inherited, and they're not only to be cured by pharma-approved drugs. That's the main point. But obviously there are many ways to look at depression, and there are loads of things that affect our mood throughout the day. But I truly believe that just taking the body and healing it and getting it into a state of thriving is the best thing that you can do for yourself to alleviate and heal your depression. And I truly believe that it can be healed. I myself still have bouts of depression every now and then, but way less frequently than I did before. And, tackling the physical ailments that might be contributing to depression, while it is a huge step, it's not the only thing that needs to be done. Like, if you want to be fully free of depression, if that's possible, and I do believe it is, then you need to attack this problem from all directions. And that's what I'm going to do in this series. I'm going to go over the various factors that I have found to really, really affect my mood and my depression throughout the years, and especially in the last couple of years, when I've reached like a state of physical thriving that I've never experienced before. It was like that was kind of I just put myself into a better default position to start working on other problem areas in my life. And this series is going to be about all kinds of things. It'll be about how sugar makes you depressed and simple carbs, things like food intolerances, things like overstimulation through porn and video games, or TV series, or lack of connection and isolation, things like this. And there are so many things that come into play, and I'm gonna tackle each one. Obviously, we need to keep in mind also that depression can stem from very legit reasons. Like, you might lose a loved one, or you might just be in a really, really in bad circumstances in life, and it's always worth it to remind yourself that depression is nothing to be ashamed of, and it's really nothing to be afraid of either. It is a reaction to less than optimal circumstances, be that your physical health or be that your physical environment. And keeping that in mind, I think we can safely say that depression can be overcome, and it can be healed without drugs and without doctors. So, I'll see you in the next video. As always, like and subscribe. Check out my book. I'll leave a link down below, and my website as well. We've got loads of articles there that you might enjoy. So, see ya.